Hi, my name is Skylar Ramirez, Master Trainer with YogaFit Training Systems Worldwide. Thank you for joining me for our Flowing Yoga Props class. Today we'll be using a yoga block and a strap, building upon the foundations of level 1, integrating a prop into our active yoga flow. So let's get started today. Let's find our props, bringing our block and our strap towards the top of the mat. Now today, for learning purposes, I do have a cross mat, and you'll see me changing in planes of movement so that you're able to get a better view on the alignment or the spot. Let's take a moment from where we are, establish a nice firm foundation through the soles of the feet, our mountain stance. Let's roll the shoulders down and back. Option to open the palms and take a moment to center ourselves here on our mat. With our firm foundation, we might be hips width. That could be interpreted as the pelvis bones. It could be with the hip bone or even with the fleshy hip. However we feel helps us to maintain some comfort in the knees when we begin to flow. From wherever we are, maybe place one hand on the belly and one hand up on the heart. Let's tune into a 3-part breath. As we inhale, breathing down into the belly, through the ribs, up to the heart. Exhale, softening from the heart, then the ribs, then the belly. We could always count this, inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling 3, 2, 1, counting faster or slower, meeting the body where it is today. At this time, breathing in through the nose or the mouth, breathing out from the nose or the mouth. As long as we're breathing, we're doing yoga. Keeping that 3-count rhythm and 3 parts of the breath in the body. Maybe even slowing down a little bit. We can keep the hands on the body to monitor the breath or relax the arms out to the side. Take a moment and acknowledge any part of the body that may be healing today, any places that maybe feel a little tender. If you would, just place a hand on that body part and maybe breathe into that space. Sending healing breaths to those places and maybe working around those places today. We can continue to monitor that 3-count breath, or maybe flow the arms, inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling back and down, 3, 2, 1. Option to lift and lower the head as a natural extension of the spine while we're tracking the arms. A couple more. Moving with our own unique rhythm. Let's round out that last breath. Eventually meeting with our hands at the heart. With our seal of physical reverence, breathing, feeling, listening to the body, letting go of any judgment, expectation, or competition, staying in the present moment. When you're ready, let's look to the top of our mat, relaxing our arms and hands, hinging from the hips, Let's pick up our yoga strap. Take the strap out to about, the alignment of a Y, like the YMCA song. Let's take any excess strap and place it in our hands. Inhaling, taking the arms up and overhead, turning the toes out into a plie position. As we exhale, knees move in the same direction as the toes. Moonflower flow. Inhaling to lift. Exhale, strap by the collarbones, keeping the strap either over the head or a little bit in front of the head and the body. We could even practice Ujjayi breathing here, inhaling through the nose, exhaling from the throat as if we're going to fall the mirror, lightly pressing the lips together. Keeping our moonflower flow, or hinging deeply from the hips, adding a scoop with our sunflower flow. Inhaling, scooping and reaching. Reversing that scoop at any time. Maybe just one or two more, whatever the body likes. Eventually meeting in 5-pointed star. Option to pull up through the ribs, big thoracic extension. One more inhale. Exhale, bringing the ribs to neutral. Let's walk the feet in. From our mat, let's step on our yoga strap, placing it just below our toe line. Feeling that we're able to press down into the bulb of the foot as we pull up on the edges of the straps, pressing into the outer edge and to the inner blades of the feet. So we have the ball of the foot, the outer pinky toe, all points of the foot connected. Inhale, pulling up on the strap, pulling up through the ribs. Exhale, pressing down and back into chair, chair flow. Matching one breath, one movement. Option to close the eyes, tuning into the sensations that might reveal themselves in the legs, sensations of the breath moving through the body. At the top of the breath, Mula Bandha. Hold Mula Bandha as we exhale down. Inhale, soft through the pelvis. Top of the breath, Mula Bandha. Exhale down. Couple more like that. Mula Bandha on the exhale. We could keep the pelvic floor muscles engaged through the duration of the flow, or maybe just on the exhale. Let's do a couple more. When you're ready, releasing that strap. Let's take it up to the front of the mat, dropping it there. Inhale, sweeping the arms up and overhead. Big breath in. Exhale, swan diving, neutral spine. Hanging the head nice and loose. Let's shake it, yes. And turn it left and right. When you're ready, stepping one foot back, lowering the knee, and then the other. Finding all fours position. Let's press the hips back. Our block is there at the top of our mat. Let's bring it into the practice. We might want to have the block in the lowest position to begin as we're introducing a little more shoulder flexion. Exhaling from the throat. Maybe even a sigh. If there's any tension in the low back, maybe loosening up that tension by relaxing the jaw, cranial sacral connection. From here, let's shift forward, bringing the block between the knees and the thighs. As we inhale, moving into cow, squeezing the block. Exhale, coming into cat, dropping the head. Inhale, softening the thighs, squeezing the block, exhaling into cat. Just a couple more like this. Option to close the eyes or keep the eyes open. Option to stay still at any time. Maybe the body has a preference for cat or cow. Flowing one more time or holding one of those poses, allowing the body to choose. Let's meet in all fours position, neutral spine, taking the block towards the top of our mat, placing the thumbs outside that block, pressing the hips back, reaching through the fingertips, extended child's pose. As we inhale, let's shift forward, hovering the upper body over that block. Exhale, pressing back. Kneeling plank flow a few more times. Giving our shoulders, our arms, and giving our upper body some time to interpret the weight bearing in that shoulder joint. Option to add in a chaturanga, tapping the chest, using that block as a guide so that we're able to notice if we're dipping the shoulder below the elbow line. One more time, forward and back. From here, we have the option to draw that block in. Maybe create the same amount of space as the length of your foot away from your knees. So when we do this, we're placing the block, just that space of 1 footprint away from the knee. Reaching out again as we inhale, shifting forward. Chaturanga, lowering the pelvis down onto the block. Inhale, lifting through the heart and the sternum. This could be cobra, or it could be a supported upward facing dog if that feels better. Tucking the toes under, lifting through the hips, pressing back. Our head might just relax gently down onto the block. Exhaling from the throat. Whenever you're ready, let's soften the knees, looking ahead, stepping our feet to the top of our mat. From here, bringing our block up with us, bringing it between the knees and the thighs in the most narrow position for our chair flow. As we inhale, sweeping the arms up and overhead, extended mountain. Exhale, taking the arms back and around, squeezing the block. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, squeeze, come down, maybe a little lift of the heels. Option to close the eyes while we're in that lifted heel position. Just one more chair flow option to lift the heels. Exhale, forward fold, dropping the heels, shaking the head, yes, turning it left and right. Let's take our block towards the top of our mat and pick up our yoga strap in one hand while we're here. Reverse swan dive, big breath in. Drawing the hands down to the heart. Let's take the strap out, only to the width of the shoulders, maybe thumbs in line with the armpits. Gathering up any excess slack in that line. Inhale, bringing the arms up and overhead. Stepping our left foot back, a casual stride, casual warrior one. Inhale, lengthening up through the side body. We could even add in just a gentle left and right lateral flexion here. Move when your body wants to move. Be still whenever your body is wanting stillness. Just a couple more easy breaths here. One more big inhale. Let's turn that left heel in, opening up into warrior two. If we have a shorter strap, we could always bend the back arm to accommodate. Let's look past the right fingertips. Turning the right palm up, reverse warrior. We could always walk the hand up that strap a little bit, reaching through the fingertips. Pull down just a little bit on the strap, perhaps encouraging just a little more effort with that reach. Breathing into the upper right lung, expanding breath, mostly up against the right armpit and lung. One more big inhale. Exhaling through warrior two. Let's lengthen out the arms. Lengthening the right leg for triangle pose, shifting our hips back. As we move into triangle pose, we know we have stacked joints from the left wrist to the elbow to the shoulder, right shoulder, elbow, wrist. If you feel that strap grazing across the collarbone and sternum region, option to look up, straight ahead, or down at the floor. Practicing our expanding breath now along the side of the left lung. One more big inhale here. Exhale, soften. Let's bend our right knee, rising up to our warrior two expression. When you're ready, turning the right toe in. Finding a standing straddle. From here, let's lower that strap down. And let's stand on the strap, finding any straddle stance that works comfortably with our strap. The wider the stance, the more pressure it could be putting on the hip joint. So if we're working through any type of tenderness in the SI joint, sciatic nerve, or lumbar spine, conservative stance is recommended. We can hold it right here and push the hips back or crisscross that strap. So now we're tuning into energies that move diagonal in their plane of movement. Continuing to press the hips back. Option to lower the head. We could always walk the hands down the strap. Holding it here, I'm going to turn sideways for an alignment display. One of the most common misalignments here is to take the hips back behind the heels. From the side, preferably seeing the hip to the knee to the ankle. It's still considered a stacked joint, even though it's not a straight line. From here, relaxing the head and the neck. Breathing from the throat. When you're ready, slowly releasing any tension with the strap. Let's inch the feet in and walk the hands up. Shaking off the legs and the feet. From the top of our mat, let's lower down the strap, picking up our block. Let's try that same sequence on the other side, this time working with a block. So we just got finished using the strap, which involves a lot of expansion type movement with the body. The block gives us an opportunity to experiment with some contraction energies. From here, let's find our strong mountain stance where it all began. Pressing the palms into the block while we're here. Inhale, pressing up and overhead. This time stepping our right foot back, a casual stride, casual warrior one. And we might again add in just that little left and right standing lateral flexion with this open warrior one stance. Continuing to sway a little bit or finding a still point. No matter where we are, let's find the breath. One more big inhale here. When you're ready, turning that right heel in, opening up into warrior two. Looking past the left fingertips. We might want to take the block over to the right waistline, turning the left palm up as we reach straight up into reverse warrior. The nice thing about the block in this pose is it can maintain a lot of space along the trunk of the body. There's a common misalignment in this pose where sometimes the trunk of the body tends to compress or fall back. Also having the block here may be keeping us from dropping and pushing on the kneecap. One more big inhale into the upper left lung. Exhaling through warrior two. Let's straighten out the left leg. Taking our block in the left hand, reaching out from the waist. The block could go right here on the thigh, opening up into triangle, keeping head higher than the heart higher than the hips. We could always take this block down a little lower, maybe even by the inside of that left foot. Let's press down into the inner blades of the feet. So using the block in this pose can be done a couple different ways. It can be fingertip light, really recruiting a lot of the muscles in the obliques along the waistline, or working a little bit with weight bearing in physics. We can push down into the block while we reach up and out of that right armpit. Continuing to breathe easy, expanding breath around the right lung. One more big inhale. When you're ready, let's soften that left knee. Lowering the top arm. Inhale, rising up through warrior two. Let's turn the left toe in. We could always keep this nice wide stance in the straddle, or we can make it just a little more narrow for less pressure in the hip joint. From here, inhale, sweep the arms back and around. Big chest expansion. Pressing into the edges of the block. If we feel that there's a pretty sharp angle in the wrist, maybe work on pulling the elbows in, neutralizing the wrist joint. Inhale, lifting through the heart and the ribs. Exhale, slowly lowering down. We could rest the block by the low back. We could press out, shoulders pressing away from the ears. Shifting forward, knees stay soft. Option to lower the block, maybe reaching out. Exhaling from the throat. We could always inch the feet out a little wider and maybe even bring the block in, resting the head on top of the block. Hands can go to the floor, to the legs, up on the thighs. One more long exhale here, sinking breath. When you're ready, slowly release the hands to a safe place. Let's inch the feet in. Coming up nice and slow with our block. Let's meet at the top of our mat. Picking up our yoga strap, reverse swan dive. Big breath in. On the next inhale, sweep it back. Let's take that yoga strap behind us, palms facing back. And we could have a nice wide alignment with the arms for comfort, or we can walk it in a little bit, just allowing our shoulders to choose for us where they'd like to be in the pose. As we inhale, pressing the shoulders down and the hands out, pulling the ribs in and up. Option to open from the throat as a natural extension of the spine. Opening up the heart energy represented by bright emerald green. So as we inhale here, feeling the chest open to receive bright green light. And then exhaling, bright green light moving through the body. One more big inhale, expanding breath. As we exhale, coming down halfway, soft through the knees in our airplane expression. Imagining that maybe someone is pulling on that yoga strap behind us, tailbone lengthening back, crown of the head lengthening forward. From here, let's slowly hinge from the hips, take the strap into one hand. Let's bring it around to the front of the body, only as wide as the shoulders, gathering up any extra slack in our line. Inhaling the arms up and overhead, warrior one. Stepping the left foot back. When you're ready, opening into warrior two. And again, maybe we're lengthening through the stride, just like we did before. We can straighten out that left arm or hold on to the strap. From wherever we are, let's lower the left hand down, swiveling at the waist, reaching towards the right fingertips. Grab loosely on the line, pull back, archer's pose, shooting for the stars. Expanding breath along the right side of the body, big inhale. Exhale. One more big breath here. When you're ready, exhaling through warrior two. Let's windmill down towards the floor. Keeping our strap in our hands as we shift forward for our standing split. We have the option here to turn this into a standing half moon. Maybe keeping the right hand on the floor, opening up from the left hand, walking that right hand in front of the right foot, encouraging expansion through the upper body with our strap. One more big inhale. Let's step both feet into meet, shaking off the knees and the hips. Leaving our strap at the top of the mat, reverse swan dive, big breath in. Exhale, sweep it back. Let's gather the breath a couple more times. Option to close the eyes, resetting the energy in the body. One more if you like. Let's hinge from our hips, reaching for our yoga block in front of us. Bringing it up and overhead. Stepping our right foot back, warrior one. Again, a little sway, maybe some stillness, noticing the breath, exaggerating the inhale. Flare out the nostrils while you breathe in. When you're ready, opening to warrior two, turning the right heel in, lengthening out through the body. From here, we can always take the hand down and around, pull back, reaching up. Big inhale into that upper left lung. Take the block into the left hand. Exhale, windmilling down towards the ground. Lifting and pivoting through that back foot. We could shift forward into a standing split. Either holding it here or maybe taking the right hand to the hip and opening up. Again, we could be practicing pressing down into the block or staying light. One more big inhale. Exhale, let's close the hips. Soften the energy in the lower body. Ground through the feet. Pada Bandha. Let's bring our block up with us. Meeting with our feet at hips width. Circle the arms back. Big chest expansion. Pressing into the block. And again, if the elbows have a big bend or if we feel a pretty good angle in the wrist, drawing the elbows in, neutralizing the wrist. Let's press the hands a little bit away from the back of the buttocks. Bend the elbows, but keep pulling them in. Let's press out using the elbow to create a tricep extension here. This could be a little faster of a pulse. And maybe noticing that the more we press into that block, the more effort that we put into contracting our energy into the block, there might be more sensation. So at any time, if we're noticing sensations that we want to maybe move away from, especially in this pose, you can always loosen your grip and notice if that made anything better for you. Maybe even a little less work, a little less effort, being kinder to the body. Just a few more of those presses back. When you're ready, resting the block at the tailbone and the low back. As we inhale, lengthening up through the spine. Exhale, stopping at the halfway point. We could always hold it here or taking it out into airplane with our block. Or maybe even lengthening the lever in the posture in preparation for Warrior 3 pose. Pressing into the block. If it feels more comfortable, deeply bend the knees, pull the arms up, and hold it in chair. Utkatasana. Anything goes here. Just do what feels right for your body. It's okay if it's a little uncomfortable, as long as there's no pain. No pain, no pain. If we're in that Warrior 3 expression, let's bend our knees, drop the hips back to chair. All of us beating in chair. Inhale, lengthening up. Option to lift the heels. Extended mountain, Mula Bandha. Pull up through the pelvic floor. Uddiyana Bandha, chin down. Exhale, belly in and up. Pressing back, a little bigger back bend. Pressing into that block. Let's bring it to center. Lowering the block, hinging from the hips. Let's shake off the body, shake out the legs. For our standing upright balancing pose today, we have tree pose using the block, and if we have a free wall nearby, we could even stand with our back by the wall or with a hand by the wall. Let's place the block in the center at the top of our mat, and maybe step your left foot just to the side of that block. From here, we could place the right ball of the foot, or that bulby flesh below the big toe, And then maybe turn the heel in, resting the heel below the knee joint. Now, depending on how the block is working with our bodies, we may want to lower that block down a little bit and experiment with different heights on this so that we're avoiding any excessive pressure on the inside of that knee joint. If we know that this is creating discomfort, or maybe we're protecting our low back and sciatic nerve today, we could always step back and take a step forward into the block, maybe lifting the heel. So there's less of a bend in the knee here, less knee flexion. Let's find our foundation and let's mix up our balance today. Lowering the chin, as if we're going to either balance a book on our head or let an egg roll off your head. Just noticing where the throat, the neck, and the head align in a comfortable way. Establishing our gaze somewhere beyond the tip of the nose in front of us, finding that one point. So first we're using visual integration to center ourselves. Really though, it's the brain that sees. So to move from relying on sight, moving more to insight, let's bring our hands together, finding that one spot, and then closing the eyes and seeing with the mind's eye. Notice any subtle shifts in that supporting leg. It's really common for the body to maybe shift, move a little bit more when we close the eyes. This is just the body finding its center, feeling its way towards center. Now, if we stay here long enough and just go with the flow, we might start to sense almost a little bit of a circling type movement, or it might even be a half circle and then a reverse circle. This is the body orbiting around its center of gravity. Continuing to breathe easy, using insight, seeing that focal point through the mind's eye, feeling our way through the pose, and maybe even affirming, I feel centered. I feel my center. I am centered. Just one more easy breath here. When we're ready, opening the eyes. We could always stay and practice on the same side. If we're curious about the other leg, let's switch sides. And it can look completely different from left to right. So if we were set up with our foot by the block and the thigh open, we can experiment with maybe standing behind the block and stepping a foot forward this time. Foot can be flat or lifted, long as we keep the ball of the foot on the block. There's bundles of nerves there that can be talking to the lumbar, pelvis, and hip complex. Let's experiment with different hand positions. Some people really balance better with their hands close to the midline. So limbs in towards the middle of the body. Sometimes it feels better to take the arms out. I like to think of a tightrope walker having a stick, using the arms for leverage. So just take a moment, there's plenty of time, and notice what the body is feeling most centered with. Let's steady the gaze during this time too. And at any point, maybe shifting forward a little bit, and then closing the eyes, allowing the body to reveal to us how it's finding center based on the felt sense, feeling our essence of yoga fit. Relaxing the jaw. About 3 more cycles of breath here. One more easy breath. When you're ready, let's relax the arms. And then step both feet onto the floor. Let's step into both feet. Maybe even pause for a moment and close the eyes, giving our body an opportunity to be fully supported by the earth. And as soon as we acknowledge that feeling, affirming it, I feel support. From I feel to I am supported. I am supported by the earth today. When you're ready, let's slowly come to the top of our mat. Inhaling the arms up and overhead. Big breath in. Exhale, swan diving forward fold, hanging out. Let's shake the head, yes, and turn it left and right. Breathing from the throat. Let's try 3 lion's breaths here while we're down here. Big breath in. Exhaling, tongue out. Couple more like that. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Add in a little head shake if that feels right for your body. Big inhale. 1, 2, 3. Walking our hands all the way down towards the floor. Let's take one foot back and then the other. Pressing our hips back towards the heels, releasing the hands. We might bring our block from the top of the mat again and practice a little more shoulder flexion without too much weight bearing, hanging the head loose between the upper arms. For alignment purposes, we can take the head to the left and take it to the right, feeling that the ears can touch the inner arm, making sure the head isn't hanging or dragging near the floor. Holding it here a little longer. Let's practice 3-part breath along the back of the lungs. Breathing down into the low back, through the middle back, under the shoulder blades and armpits. And then exhale, soften the shoulder blades, soften the ribs, and soften the low back. Let's try that maybe 2 or 3 more times. Inhale, low back, middle back, under the shoulder blades. Exhale, relax the shoulder blades, the middle back, and the lower back. 1 or 2 more in your own time. Let's notice our inhale and slowly bring the hands down onto the floor. We'd like to practice that upward facing dog supported with the block again. Let's lower the block down, again, about our own foot length away from the knees. Extending the arms out, shifting forward, hovering the pelvis. We could chaturanga, practicing a supported kneeling chaturanga. Elbows pulled in tight. Maybe tuck the toes, push forward and lift the heart and the sternum. We can keep the toes tucked under or untuck the toes and push into the tops of the feet. Pushing down and forward through the heels of the hands. One more big inhale. Let's lower our knees, maybe tuck the toes under, pressing the hips back. Dorsiflexion with the feet in our extended child's pose, resting the head again. If we feel like we want a downward facing dog here, slowly coming up with the hips and maybe letting the head feel that space. Head might rest down onto the block or hover the head away. One more exhale. When you're ready, let's drop the knees, keeping the toes tucked under. Walking the hands in, let's bring the block between the knees and the thighs. If we have our strap just in front of us, maybe combining with the strap as well. I've folded mine in half. From here, let's sweep the arms back and around, repositioning the humerus bone inside that shoulder socket, taking the strap behind us, palms back, adapting the length for comfort in the shoulder. Camel pose. Let's drop the chin. Exhale, squeeze the block. 1, 2, 3, surprise and hold it. 1, 2, 3. Uddiyana Bandha, pull up and in. Option to lift the chin just a little bit as a natural extension of the spine. Ustrasana, camel pose. The more we feel the fingers reaching down, the more we feel the sternum and the collarbones pulling up. One more big inhale. Exhale, slowly relax. Let's take our strap and our block just beside us. From here, let's sweep our feet to one side and come around into seated, extending the legs out in front of the body. Let's take our strap from beside us, from seated staff, placing the strap just below our toe line, toes touching, knees close together. Maybe the elbows in by the waist and palms up. As soon as we turn the palms up, it could help us to get a little more shoulder retraction and depression. As we inhale, pulling up through the spine, lengthening through the crown of the head. Exhale, maybe coming forward a little bit. We could always walk the hands a little bit away from the waist. Palms up so that we keep those shoulders down and back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, little bend with the elbows in towards the waist. At some point, our upper spine will ask us to relax. We have a couple options here. We can practice a long exhale, sinking breath. Inhale through the nose, long exhale. As an alternative, we can practice more of an expanding breath in the back of the heart here. So oftentimes we think of the expanding breath just in the frontal plane of the body. We have an opportunity to really expand the breath under the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades, behind the heart. Let's inhale big across the shoulders. Inhaling big to the sides of the ribs. Staying here for maybe 2 more big inhales, long exhales. Alternating that expanding breath in the shoulders with a sinking breath. To safely come out of this pose, let's keep our head hanging loose. Keeping just some gentle tension on the strap. Slowly begin to come up, stacking the vertebra in the low back to the middle back. Eventually neck and head in alignment. From here, let's bend one knee at a time. We can use our block between the knees for boat pose while we're here. And if we want to experiment with combining the two, using the strap also. If we know that we only want to use the strap, then you would remove the block, touch your knees and touch your feet. If we're using the block, keeping the feet and the knees separated, so the knees are stacked with the ankles. Roll the shoulders down and back, pulling on that strap. Elbows are into the waist for now, creating a little bit of dynamic energy around the trunk of the body. We can hold it here. We can experiment with straightening out the legs. If we think we want to do a little bit of an abdominal crunch here, lengthen out the arms and the legs. Option to drop the heels. This is our core engagement pose. From level 3, working with chakras or the chakra energy one-day course. Working with chakra 3. Exhale, bring it in. Let's try it with the breath. Inhale, extension. Exhale, contract. Add in a strong exhale if you want. Vastrika. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Option for a couple more. From wherever we are, let's lower the feet. If we have that strap, take it to the side. Let's open our knees. Feet are touching. And again, measure out maybe the length of your own foot and have that much space from the pelvic floor. For the most part, this will prevent hyperflexion in the knees. It helps to maintain a more neutral knee joint when we have that space. We could always hold it upright or maybe take the block in front of us, shifting forward, lowering the head, maybe even resting the head on the yoga block. Let's roll the breath through the backs of the lungs, up and down the sides of the spine. It could be 3-part breath again, breathing to the low back, the middle back, and the shoulder blades. It could be that expanding breath behind the heart. And then exhale slow. Just one more long exhale here. Absolutely no rush. To safely come out, we keep the head relaxed, stacking the low back, the middle back, just slowly opening up the energy. Finding a still point. Let's bring our block just to the side of us, drawing the knees towards each other. From here, lengthening out one leg, let's take our time to safely come down into supine position. We could have both hands behind that bent knee, or maybe bring one hand behind the neck and the head. Contracting the body, let's lower down, drawing both knees in towards the chest, holding on behind the knees or behind the thighs, and adding in a gentle rock left and right. Let's grab our block from just beside us, placing it between the knees and thighs, lowering our feet down to the floor. When you're ready, pressing the palms. Inhale, lifting the hips into bridge pose. Squeezing that block, keeping the inner thighs and Mula Bandha engaged. We could always tuck the shoulder blades under in this pose. Perhaps again, working with opening up the heart energy, bright green emerald light. One more big inhale. Option to exhale, release the shoulders, lower the hips. Let's try flowing this a few times. Inhale, Slowly lifting, squeeze, exhale, lower down. Option to add in the arms. As the hips go down, the arms go overhead. Inhale, pressing the hips up. Exhale, lowering down. We can always keep this flow or hold bridge pose again. And as a little extra added experiment, inhale and lengthen out just one leg. Exhale, lower it down, squeezing the knees. Continuing to engage the thighs, engage the inner knees into the block. Hips are staying lifted, shoulders, hands pressing down into the floor. Let's try one more on each side. Unhinging from the knee to lengthen the leg. Let's find both feet on the floor. Exhale, lower the hips. Draw the block into center. Let's take the block to the side, maybe just off to the right for now. Let the knees sway a little bit. Let's come to center with our knees, walking our feet over to the right edge of our mat. Let's push down into our feet so the knees are swaying to the left. Thinking about where the back of the spine is, behind the belly button, bring the block in by that point and kind of wedge it in by that low back and buttocks region. Maybe even feel that you can kind of lean back a little bit into the block. Option to open up the arms like a T, bend the elbows, cactus arms. Notice where is the path of least resistance for the breath. The right lung is open the most. So for the next few breaths, with awareness as we inhale, breathing into the right lung, and then exhale out from the left lung. And this is just through the power of suggestion, shifting awareness. Biologically, we breathe in through both lungs. Inhale, breathing into the right, and breathing out from the left. We might want to add in a little color to that. Breathing into the right, gold light. Breathing out the left, silvery blue light. This is the practice of Surya Veda. Breathe in through both nostrils, breathe deep into both lungs. Take that block from the low back, slowly rock back. Centering the hips, centering the feet. We could even do a reset on the low back, knees to chest for a moment. Before we go into that twist on the other side, let's bring our block to the left side of the body. Walking our feet over to the left, and then pushing into our feet, swaying the knees to the right, placing that block near the spine, behind the belly button, down into the buttocks region, leaning back a little bit into that block, and then allowing the arms to really go anywhere where it's comfortable. You could even put them overhead. Let's notice the path of least resistance for the breath. The left lung is really open. Let's shift the breath a little bit. Again, just through awareness. Inhaling into the left lung, and then exhale from the right lung. Our colors are Inhale, that silvery blue, and then exhale, gold. When we're ready, let's breathe in through both nostrils. Big breath. When it feels right, slowly taking that block away from the low back. Placing it just off to the side. Let's bring our feet and our knees to neutral. Reset the low back in any way. Let's place our feet flat on the floor, knees bent. Finding our block beside us. Let's press the hips up, and we can slide our yoga block in the flattest position underneath the sacrum. So we're flattening the pelvis. The pelvis bones will go straight up to the sky. From here, we can lift one leg at a time. Maybe hold on to that block. Keep it from shifting. Now already we are in legs up the wall. Ankles are higher than the heart. That's legs up the wall. We could always extend the legs up, maybe even roll out the ankles. If we're noticing that this is creating maybe some discomfort, it could be irritating the low back, you could always try instead flatten your low back to the floor and then maybe take the block out and just put your ankles on top of that block. And the knees can bend a little bit and go out to the side. So this is considered another expression of legs up the wall. Again, as long as the ankles are higher than the heart, where the heart is centered in the trunk of the body, this is legs up the wall. This is the inversion. No matter where we are, we can move the ankles a little bit, circle them, maybe point and flex. If we have our hips really high on that block, let's take our time and lower our feet. Lifting the hips, take the block away from the low back and lower your hips flat to the ground. With our ankles on the block, let's bring the feet in. Let's find our yoga strap beside us. So we all have this foundation of the low back on the floor. Let's bring it knees to chest. This is one of our transition and foundation poses. Taking the strap below the toe line, taking the feet out wide. We can press the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling into dead bug or happy baby pose. What's nice about using the strap here is that it could be a lot less tension on the neck and shoulders. Shoulders can stay nicely grounded on the floor. Pulling down just a little bit. Rocking side to side is an option. Come to any still point. Pause for a moment. Soften the muscles in the pelvic floor. Relax Mula Bandha. Let's feel as if we can accept our breath through our hips. Breathing through the hips to the low belly, to the middle rib, to the heart. And then exhale, relax the heart, relax the ribs, and let the breath leave out from the pelvis. Option to close the eyes. We could always keep the tension on that strap so we have some engagement of Pada Bandha. A couple more easy breaths here, with or without the strap. Some of us know that this pose is more comfortable for us, holding on to the backs of the legs or onto the feet. So take your sweet time and adapt as necessary, so we're rounding out our practice with what feels right for you. You can hold it here a little longer, or take your time, bring the knees together and lower the feet. And let's let the body move in any natural way. Anything goes here. Some of us might want to find knees to chest again. Some of us might want to extend the body out. Pond gesture from level 5. Let's prepare ourselves for final relaxation and guided meditation. Get yourself comfortable. It'll be about 10 minutes of guided meditation. So at this time, if you want to grab a jacket, a pillow, socks, a blanket, let's take another minute to get comfortable. No matter where we are, let's bring awareness to the breath, the life force. And we may again want to soften through the hips and the pelvis, soften the middle back, soften the shoulders and behind the heart. Let's explore the various qualities of the breath, characteristics of the breath. First, let's see it. We are immersed in the breath. So seeing the breath all around us like this lovely gold light. And as we inhale, this breath moves into the body, moving down into the hips, slowly filling up the lungs to the heart. And then exhale, it moves down and out, leaving from the hips. We may begin to count the breath. As we inhale, breath moves in through the nose or the mouth, down to the belly, the ribs, and the heart. And then we exhale, roll it out, relax the jaw, breath leaving from the hips and the pelvis. Adding in our count at any time, inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling 3, 2, 1. So we're seeing the breath, we're feeling for the breath. Let's listen for the breath. On every inhale, as the breath moves into the body, it comes in with the sound ah. We might even relax our jaw, inhaling softly through the nose or the mouth, and just feeling the energy of ah moving into the body. Exhale, the breath leaves with the sound ta. Inhaling ah, exhaling ta, rhythmically chanting atta. This is done only with the mind, chanting with the mind, giving the breath its voice. Atta, atta, translating to now, staying in the present moment, inhaling ah, exhaling ta. Let's take at least 2 quiet minutes working with this meditation on our own, seeing the gold light filtering in and out of the body, feeling it as it fully fills the lungs and then empties down and out the hips, and listening to it, Ata. Add in a little effort to the inhale. Maybe flare out the nostrils. Pull the breath into the body and then exhale from the throat. Exhale as if trying to fog a mirror. We have this bit of effort on the inhale, and then exhale, bit of effort on the exhale. Allowing those bits of effort to ever so gently awaken different parts of the body, moving awareness to your toes, to the fingers, maybe even to the head and the neck. We could wiggle the fingers and toes or roll the head side to side. Let the body move in any natural way. For those of us who maybe are protecting the back today, or even in cases of vertigo, or maybe sometimes we get a little dizzy in yoga, you could try this technique to come up instead. So to safely come up, let's bend one knee at a time, placing our feet flat on the ground. Letting the knees sway left and right, loosening up the energy in the low back, just checking in, adding in a little bit of a press with the feet. And noticing what side of the body we may want to sway towards based on comfort, eventually rolling all the way over onto one side. Keeping the chin tucked in, let's place our top arm on the floor, hang the head loose. Slowly come up about halfway, and then come up a little more and a little more. Eventually finding any easy seated position for closing today. Elevating the hips if that feels more comfortable. Let's bring our hands together at the heart. Lengthening through the spine, dropping the chin a little bit. Thank you for joining me today. Joining Yoga Fit Training Systems Worldwide Yoga Props. Please join us soon at one of our wonderful mind-body fitness conferences. Again, my name is Skyla Ramirez. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells, a place of infinite love and light. We are all in this place. We are one. Yoga Fit family. Namaste. Hi, everyone. Our music today was from our Yoga Fit collection of CDs. It is Tantra Level 2. Please enjoy the rest of your training with your trainer today, and I will see you virtually or in a conference. Namaste, everybody.